What's up, Viking fans? I want this comment section looking like U.S. Bank. It is Victory Monday, and I know going into work on a Monday can be difficult. But come on, walking in, seeing all your colleagues, seeing all your buddies at school, walking in with your chest out, 5-1 after a Packers loss. I want every single person right now to spam Skol in the comments. What's going on, y'all? It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and it is Victory Monday. I'll get into my 3 big overreactions that I've seen on social media from some of my friends that are big-time Viking fans out there, from my Uncle Steve, who's a huge Vikings fan. But before I get into all of that, we're going to do a little quick recap of yesterday's game and then also look at some trade rumors that have been floating around. So the Vikings come away with a win in 24-16 fashion. Yesterday's game wasn't 100% pretty, I think is a good way to say it, but good teams are finding a way to win. And I know last season, with all the 1 point, with all the 1-score losses, you never knew if they were going to be able to get over the hump. With new head coach Kevin O'Connell, there's that confidence, there's that swagger that at the end of every game, you're not going to see a choke, but they're going to come away with a win. Now, Kirk Cousins, 175, 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, a huge touchdown run. Justin Jefferson, I was going up against him in fantasy. I still came away with a win, though, so I wasn't too upset about the 107 yards. But their pressure, we will talk a lot about the defense. However, after the game, Ron Johnson mentioned potentially trading for a tight end. Or he said, you know what, you could see the Minnesota Vikings look to make a deal. Now, a friendly reminder that the NFL trade deadline is on November 1st at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so if anything happens, it's got to be before that deadline. Here's some names that I want you guys to keep in mind, because yesterday when I was watching the Vikings game, multiple times the people kept being brought up in terms of trade candidates were Miami Dolphins tight ends. Adam Shaheen, who has already been traded once, and if you remember, he was drafted in the second round by the Chicago Bears, though. I watch him run, and he reminds me of a robot with something stuck up as you know what. Mike Gesicki, he can't gritty, but if you added Mike Gesicki to Kevin O'Connell's offense with Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, that would be a really tough thing to stop. I'm still hoping for Irv Smith, though he did get me a touchdown. And then Austin Hooper, another intriguing name who isn't quite being used the way I thought he was going to be used in Tennessee. Now, here's my overall take. I personally want them to use C.J. Ham a little bit more instead of trading for a tight end, because Irv Smith can still get it done. One of my biggest concerns with this Vikings offense, and I'm not sitting up here saying that I was worried that Mike Zimmer was leaving. No, not the case. But when Mike Zimmer first started out as the Vikings head coach, he was a tough dude. And not that Kevin O'Connell wasn't that. I was worried that they were going to be spreading it out. They were going to get rid of the fullback. You heard all the rumors around Alexander Mattison, and they were going to lose that toughness. There was a huge third down conversion this past week due to C.J. Ham, and they've also been kind of using him as a tight end. So personally, unless you can get a steal of a trade, I think you just use C.J. Ham a little bit more as a tight end. Now, here's my call to you, because Chat Sports programming is all about y'all. It's all about you guys having the choice. Now, sure, I get to come up here and I get to talk about it. Shout out to producer Patrick Siepman behind the scenes, pushing all the buttons. We have conversations, but I want to know from all of you. Do you want the Vikings to trade for a tight end? Type T for trade, or I want you to type P for pass. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to get into some overreactions versus Miami. And I'm sitting here getting the show ready with Seeps, and he looked at me with a big smile on his face, and he said, NFC North is locked up. It's accurate. To me, we are 6 games into the season. But the eye test shows me, and the week 1 win, 23-7, where you whooped up on Green Bay, and afterwards Aaron Rodgers is going, hey, relax. Are you still relaxing? Because it looks a lot different. Minnesota at 5-1 looks like arguably one of the best teams, if not the top 2 team in the NFC. Green Bay, they don't look like the Green Bay Packers, and that offense is hard to watch right now. Chicago, they just blew one to the Commanders in one of the worst Thursday night football games I've ever seen. And the Detroit Lions, you thought, all right, maybe they might get some mojo going. They have the worst defense in the NFL. I get that the NFL is an offense-centric league, but the only way you're going to compete in terms of actually winning something meaningful is when you're good at all facets of the game. And right now, Minnesota's the best offense. They're the best defense. and their kickers are actually making field goals for the first time. So shout out to Greg Joseph. Now, when you look at the Packers' schedule, Week 5, tough London loss to the Giants. Week 6, the Jets, tough loss on the road there, and their special teams was yet again a major letdown. Now I get it. The Commanders, it's not an easy game. Road game, road game, road game. The NFL has proved to me one thing. Anything can happen literally any week. Anything can happen. Commanders, they have to win. They have to win 2 out of 1 because you're not beating the Buffalo Bills. That I can guarantee you. So overall, this is the Vikings division to lose. I will admit, there is that pit in my feeling that until Kirk Cousins can show up in a big-time, prime-time game, I'm sure I'm not the only one. It does make me nervous to say that. But for the first time in a long time, this division does seem like it's the Vikings to lose because there isn't another threat out there. Yeah, Green Bay might get hot. That doesn't mean the Vikings are going to get cold. So what's your confidence level now, y'all? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 being you are not confident at all. 10 being locked, sealed. You're already buying your playoff tickets. You already got your NFC North championship shirt. Let me know, what's your confidence level in the Vikings winning the NFC North? Now, major shout out to today's sponsor, BetUS. And if you use promo code CHAT125 at chatsports.com/bet, you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. If you don't understand how amazing of a deal that is, it is if you put down $100, you're actually going to get $125 for free to bet with. So imagine a world, and this is the deal I always like to say, imagine you go to a Vikings game. Let's go with that one. You get a beer, and then somebody offers you another beer for free and then a miniature beer. That's how good of a deal this deal is with them. Now, here's right now, the BetUS Super Bowl odds at plus 1,800. For those of you that don't know what that means, is if you risk $10 and they win the Super Bowl, you get $180. We are giving you $125 for free to bet with. You have nothing to lose. Put your money where your mouth is. If you're that confident in them winning the North, hey, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Bet on the Vikes. Let's see what happens, man. And if you lose, you still got a whole bunch of money to bet with. Let's go to the next overreaction here after a 24-16 win against the Miami Dolphins. The defensive line is back. I get the fact that they went up against Skylar Thompson. I get the fact that Teddy Bridgewater was there. You know what, though? Still got to go out and play. And my answer to this is I hope that the defensive line is back. And I allured to it a little bit earlier on in the show that one of my biggest concerns with the Vikings was maybe they might not be physical enough. Like they might go out and try to play cute football, airing it out a little bit. This is a tough team. They are. This is a tough team. And it's been a while since I've been on this show, but the last time I was on, I mentioned the purple people eaters. I'm not going to go that far. Za'Darius Smith looked like he was eating dudes alive. That was an all-you-can-eat buffet yesterday. 11 pressures, which I believe is the second most in the NFL in a single game this season. 2 sacks and 4 tackles. The reason why you added Za'Darius Smith to this defense was not to just be good, not to just be kind of good, but to take that defense to that upper echelon realm, because when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson and all the skill position players on offense, the defense needed to be able to step up. And the defensive line right now, I could make the argument the Vikings defense could be the biggest surprise for me this entire season. I didn't have a lot of confidence in that defensive line. Patrick Jones yesterday gave me a big old middle finger with 2 sacks, and that was kind of his breakout game. Danielle Hunter, that dude straight up is hunting dudes down. We know when he's healthy, he is just a freak athlete. And now when you combine Za'Darius Smith, Danielle Hunter, and the emergence of Patrick Jones on top of all the other solid players that they have in the secondary and on the defensive line, I mean, it's really, really impressive. Now, I am going to try to go glass half full here because the defensive ranks, which I've seen people talk about, I was talking to Patrick earlier, is like the defense has struggled, especially the rushing game, right? You're ranked 16th now in the NFL, had a good game this past week. You're 5-1. I could almost just say 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1. If the defense gets better, which I believe it can get better, you're still 5-1. And if it does, good luck stopping this team, because not only are you making stops, you are getting turnovers. That interception that Harrison Smith had yesterday, I watched it last night, I watched it again this morning. The Vikings, for the first time in a long time, are getting the right bounces. And I am a big believer, good teams win close games, but good teams also get lucky, and this team right now is definitely getting lucky. So I'm curious, y'all, did yesterday's change your view of the defense? Y for yes or N for no? It changed it for me a little bit. I've been gaining more and more confidence in this overall unit because they are flying around the football field. And when I think of NASCAR packages, I'll always go back to like 2007 when the Giants took down the New England Patriots, and those dudes were just flying all over the field. That's what the Vikings are doing right now. They are flying all over the football field, and I don't know if they're the most talented team, but they're playing with a lot of heart right now. So my answer to this is a Y for yes. My final overreaction after the Vikings win in Miami, taking them to a 5-1 record. Are they Super Bowl contenders? Sieps, push it. Yeah, they have to be. You have to consider them a Super Bowl contender. And playing in September, cool. Playing in October, we're halfway through. I want to see how this team looks November, December, January, and if you are going to be a Super Bowl contender, Kirk, you got to be ready to play underneath the lights. That's going to be something that always continues to get popped up. But when I show you the NFC division leaders here, the East, the Eagles, after their big Sunday Night Football win over the Dallas Cowboys, they're now 6-0. The Vikings are 5-1. The Buccaneers are 3-3. The 49ers are 3-3. The West right now doesn't look like a wild, wild west. It looks anything but that. The South right now looks like an absolute joke. The East is definitely something to be worried about, and I'm not going to sit up here and twist that. However, I think Minnesota's better than Dallas. I think they're better than the Giants. I think they're better than every single South team. I think they're better than every West team. The only team that I can't confidently sit up here and look at you and say they're better than is the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you lose to the team, it is what it is. Here's the thing, though. That, to me, is the team that you are going to be continually matched up against the entire year. And if it comes down to it at the end of the season and you're sitting there wondering, man, what was the difference? That Monday night game versus the Eagles might have decided the 1 seed. It might have. But you know what? A lot of games still to be played. Now, if you guys made it this far in the video, major shout out to all of you. I appreciate everyone that comes across all of our Chat Sports content. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and if anything wild happens, like, I don't know, the Vikings trading for one of the tight ends that we mentioned, we're going to be making a video, and I don't want you to miss it, so hit that sub button.